Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico from the Creativity Cave and welcome to another edition of Simple to Stunning Sundays. I hope that you're doing well and staying safe. I hope that this video also brightens your day. So I've got a really beautiful card to start with. I think this is a great card, very simple, but I really like it. And then we're going to kind of step it up a couple of times. I am using the Beautifully Braided bundle today. This is in our Occasions catalog, and it's a great stamp set and coordinating punch. And I really like this card. I think it's great for both masculine themed cards and feminine cards. So let me show you how I created this first card. I'm going to start with a piece of a half a sheet of Pretty Peacock, and I'll give that a good burnish. I've got a 3 3/4 by 5-inch piece of Gray Granite, and I'm going to stamp that big ginkgo design in my Gray Granite ink right on here. So I'll ink this up, and I really like this image a lot. So I'll just kind of have it kind of coming out from the bottom like that. Okay, oh, wonderful. And then I'm going to add a sentiment on here in Pretty Peacock ink. I've got a 3/4 inch strip of Gray Granite cardstock. And then I'm also going to add a little strip of Pretty Peacock behind it. Ooh, I thought I had cut a piece. This one is 1 inch wide, and then it'll just stick out from my 3/4 inch strip. Okay, so I'll attach that. And then we're going to add this to our card. So it's a really simple card, great to do kind of in bulk. You could do this in a lot of different color combinations. You could do Night of Navy, Rich Razzleberry, Shaded Spruce, Rococo Rose. I'm just literally going down my list of colors that I think would look good with this Gray Granite. Even like Crushed Curry or Daffodil Delight would look good with it, and maybe some black ink. Yeah, all of those would look fantastic with this color combination. Okay, so there is our basic card. Now what we're going to do is take and step it up a notch. For our next version, I'm going to do the same pieces, but I'm going to add a layer plus an embellishment. Okay, so I'm going to fold my Pretty Peacock card base once again. I've got that same piece of Gray Granite for stamping, but I'm also going to add a little layer. This is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, just to kind of set things off a little bit. And then I'm also going to punch a border. Okay, so let's do our stamping first, and then we'll put everything together. Okay, so once again, I'll stamp my image here, just like before. So I've got that on there, but I'm also going to do another. I'm going to just stamp off my second image right here. I'm overlapping a little bit, but notice I did not re-ink, so that just adds a little bit of interest. I'm going to re-ink this time and then stamp up above onto my card, like so, and there we go. That looks fantastic. So now I've got a little bit more stamping on there. I like that. I'm going to give this a quick clean, and then I'm going to stamp the corners of my card base that I have, and this time I'll do it in Pretty Peacock. Okay, so literally I'm just going to stamp right here in the corner, and I was moving my ink pad. I needed to flip my cardstock. So right there in the corner. So just a little bit of stamping. Okay, and I'll do my sentiment just like I did before. And I love the sentiment. Kindness comes in many ways, but always from the heart. And I think this is the perfect card for my new group that I started on Facebook. Have you guys seen this? It is called Sending Sunshine and Rainbows, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it in just a second. Now, the next thing that I want to do is punch a border with our coordinating punch that goes with the stamp set. So I've got a couple of tips for you on this. First of all, I'm going to start with the strip, and I was playing with this and I found that if I started where there's just a little bit of cardstock hanging off the side here, as in I'm not starting on the edge with the punching, I'm leaving a little bit of space on the edge there. Okay, I'll give it a punch, and then I'm going to scooch it over. And I'm going to make sure my image is lined exactly up. If you're off a little bit, then your punch will definitely be off a little bit. This one doesn't have a ton of room for mistakes, but when you really line it up perfectly, then you'll get a nice edge. Okay, this wasn't perfect, but I'm also doing it through my phone. So let me show you one that is perfect. So much easier to do this when you're not on camera. Okay, so I've got my piece lined up, and what I'm going to do is snip this out of my cardstock, and then I'm going to cut it to the right length. So I'm going to use this many humps right here. So I'll just cut that one off, and then right there. And then I'm going to trim this right down the center. What that does is it gives me humps that I can put on the top and bottom of my sentiment, and it's a really nice decorative touch. I'm going to adhere that with some snail. It's just easy to adhere a border like this with snail versus liquid glue, especially because there's holes in that border. And you can see I just want the little bit sticking out for the top and bottom. Perfect. Okay, then what I'm going to do is take and adhere this to my card with the layers. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this, or I'm sorry, adhere these two layers together. All right, and then I'm going to attach this to my card base, just like before, and having that little layer to separate this stamping from this stamping I think is a nice look. And then I'm also going to add this layer popped up. So we'll put some dimensionals on here, and I'm just going to put 4 going across, and then that also kind of covers up the adhesive that I had on there. Now this looks fantastic, but I'm going to take it one further step, and that is I want to add a little bit of spritzing on here. So I'm going to use my clear Wink of Stella, and I'm just going to do some spritzing onto my card like so. Okay, and so I love having just a little bit of shimmer on there. I think that's a great look. All right, for my third version of this card, we're going to kick it up a couple notches, to be honest. First off, I'm going to start with a piece of 3.5 by 4 3/4 inch watercolor paper. It's just a teeny bit smaller than the panels we've been using. And I'll clean my stamp once again, and this time I'm going to take and stamp it on my panel. Actually, I gotta do my embossing buddy first. I always like to do that. Just drop that on there. Okay, then what I'm gonna do is stamp this in Versamark. Okay, and just like before, I'll stamp it in the bottom and the opposing top corner. I got a little paper fuzz on there. Just make sure that's good. Okay, so we'll stamp that on there like that. and then we'll ink it up once again and flip it around and stamp it on the top. Now you can't see, but I can kind of tell where I've got it stamped on here. So we're good to go with that. I've got my silver embossing powder, and I will get the powder on my card, and then I'll heat set it with my heat gun. All right, now for this card, I'm going to do a little watercoloring using my Pretty Peacock ink. So I'm squeezing the ink pad to the lid, and I'm going to take my aqua painter, and I'm going to just do a little coloring on here. So I'm kind of washing the color. I want this darkest ink to be kind of at the base of each ginkgo leaf, and then as my water kind of increases, go lighter at the top, and we're going to kind of go over this a couple times. So and I'm not being super careful to stay inside the lines. That's not a big deal, but I'm just kind of going over this. It's sort of a messy watercoloring, so that's no big deal. Easy to just go brush right over these ginkgos. I'm going to come back in and add some color to add a little bit of interest. So we want that darker color again towards the base of each ginkgo. And I really like these ginkgo leaves. I used to live in California when my husband was in grad school, and there was a ginkgo tree right by our apartment, and I always thought it was so cool. And I think the reason is because when I was in college, I have ginkgo leaf fossils that I collected, and I almost had an earth science minor with my biology major. So I always have really liked ginkgo leaves. I think they're pretty cool. Okay, so you can see it's not even, it's just kind of different areas of color added here. I really like that look. Makes it easy to watercolor. Okay, now I have a bunch of ink on my brush, and I'm going to actually even pick up a little more, and then I'm going to give my aqua painter a squeeze, and that's going to get kind of a little bit more water flowing through the bristles. Now what I'm going to do is take a sharp edge. This is a block that came out of one of the kits that we have, an all-inclusive kit, and it's got that nice sharp edge. A paper pumpkin block will work nicely for this as well. And I'm just going to flick my brush on here. So, and I will add that it helps if this is dry, because we're going to get some watercolor splotches, kind of like spritzing, but more watercolory. Okay, so here we go. Ready? You can see we get some of those bigger splotches, and I really like the look of that. All right, now I'm going to clean this off by just taking and putting it, rubbing it clean on my chamois, and that works really well to clean it off. We'll get rid of that, and I'm even cleaning that extra ink off in my chamois. That's a great way to clean your brush out too. Okay, now we want this piece to just kind of sit and dry, so I'm going to set that back there for a moment, and then I'll finish up my card. Now I still need to stamp my sentiment. This time I'm going to use a piece of watercolor paper just so that it's kind of coordinates with the rest of my card. And I'll stamp that sentiment once again. I love the look of this sentiment too because of the different fonts. I think that's a really cool look. So I mentioned my Sending Sunshine and Rainbows Facebook group. This is a group I designed. There's going to be all kinds of cool stuff in it. First of all, we're going to have a rack list, which is a random act of kindness list where you can sign up for it and then send cards to people on the list. We have them listed according to your birthday month. You can also nominate people to be a part of the list or not to be a part of the list, and nominate people to receive cards from the group. And so you could submit your requests via email. There's all the information is in the group. And so we take and send cards to others for a cause, I guess you could say. So last week, our cards went out to some different people. We had somebody with cancer. We had another who's elderly mom who's living all by herself and is quarantined at home, and different causes like that, some really great causes. And then also there will be inspiration in the form of a free class once a month, and all of that information is posted in the group, so you can check that out. It's called Sending Sunshines and Rainbows, and I'll put a link in the description of this video for you. Okay, now I punched out another one of our borders, and we're going to do the same little trick with the border here. So I'll just snip, let's see, I'll snip that off and then down the center, and we'll attach it to the back just like we did before. And then I'm also going to, by the way, look at the W. W. That just kind of cracks me up. I'm also, you can see I cut a piece of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 piece of printed paper. Now this is from the Woven Heirlooms, and this is actually one of the new celebration choices through the end of this month that you can choose for free. The Woven Heirlooms printed paper is from the annual catalog, so it's a paper we've already had, but they often add some annual catalog items at the very end of celebration when we start to run out of some of the celebration items, which you probably have seen that has happened. Okay, so there we go. All right. Now the last couple things that I want to do are come and bring this back. I think I'm going to do a little heat setting on here just to dry those splotches off so I can finish my card in a timely manner. I do really like the splotches though, because you get bigger ones and smaller ones, and that really kind of adds to the card. Now I'm not really worried about remelting the embossing powder because I'm not concentrating the heat in one spot enough. But there we go. Now you really want to make sure everything's dry before this next step. Okay, so I'm going to take and re-ink this stamp with my Gray Granite ink. Once again, I'm going to stamp off a layer of that ink, and then I'm just going to add a little bit right there. And then in case I picked up any of the color, we'll stamp it off. I'll re-ink it once again, stamp off the layer of ink, because again, we just want a nice light layer. And then I'll add just a teeny bit up here, not too much, nothing, don't be crazy, but just a little bit extra on there. And I think that looks great. There's also this really cool border stamp that comes in this stamp set, and I'm going to use this with my Pretty Peacock ink once again, and I'm just going to stamp a couple of these on here kind of like in a collage form. So I'll just do 3 little humps right there. Okay, and then I'm going to do a couple right over here. And that just is kind of a fun way to dress this up a little bit. All right, I'm going to pop this up onto my card, and I kind of feel, how wide is this? Oh, that's all right. Okay, and then I also want to adhere this to my card, and then I'll pop that sentiment up once again, like we've done on the others. Okay, so I want to make sure this sticks well, so I'm really pressing down on there. Okay, and then like I said, we'll pop this piece up, and last but not least, we are going to spritz this with our Wink of Stella, just for kind of a nice little shimmery effect once again. Okay, so I've got that on there, and here's my Wink of Stella. Just gonna find something to smack it against. Oh, I'm gonna close my ink pad up though, just so I don't get any in there. Okay. And I've got some good shimmer spritzing on there. And there is our third card. So make sure you let me know which version of these three are your favorite. We've got the beginning, the middle, and the stunning. So simple to stunning. So let me know which one you like the best. Of course, if you would like to purchase any of these supplies so you can make these gorgeous cards, please check out the supply links in the description of this video, as well as a link to my blog post so you can see all the still photos. And if you would like to purchase them through my online store, I'd be so grateful for your business. I have a fantastic VIP rewards program that I'd love to have you be a part of. So take a look at the details for that on my blog, and check out my Sending Sunshine and Rainbows group. Our first free online class comes out next week, and I can't wait. Have a great day, guys, and happy stamping. Bye-bye.